What is the best revenge on a cheating partner? Not my story and not directly infidelity related, but here goes. My ex's stepmother was the quintessential evil stepmother. The second she and my ex's dad had children, she got shipped off to boarding school and was largely forgotten about by her father's side of the family, something her father was always remorseful over but didn't know how to really deal with. Well, my ex grew up and gave up on ever really having a relationship with her father that wasn't ruined by her stepmom. She and I ran a PI firm for years and dealt with cheating spouses on a regular basis. Neither of us were prepared for this one to fall into our laps, though. One morning, while we were getting ready to leave town for a job, she got a message from some unknown guy asking if she knew, the stepmother. She answered and received another message nearly instantly, stating that the sender was a fireman whose wife had been caught cheating a few months prior, and he couldn't sit by and let someone else cheat without warning others. The night before, he had been driving down an old country road and stopped at two cars that looked to be broken down to see if they needed help. But by the time he got to the back windows of the car, he realized that something else was going on. So he snapped a few photos, got back in his truck, and ran the license plates of the couple he found. When they came back to different last names and addresses, he decided to find the families of the couple and warn them. He couldn't find my ex's stepmom's husband online, so he found what he assumed was the daughter and told her. Y'all, I've never seen someone cry such happy tears in my life. Revenge for all the time she had been kept away from her father had just been dumped in her lap by a complete stranger. And this form of revenge was literally how she paid her bills. I made her sit in the information, including photos, for 24 hours while we thought it out and gathered a plan. We called her dad up and took him to lunch, warning him that we had some tough issues we needed to talk to him about. When he saw the photos, you could see the relief in his face. Some random stranger had come along and opened up a huge exit door from what he called an absolutely cruel marriage. We all agreed that more proof was needed because she would probably want to fight in court. So my ex and I took the case on ourselves and started stalking her ourselves, legally. We caught her 3 days in a row before deciding we had enough. Every time it was the same pattern. Something my ex's dad said was a regular occurrence that he just never realized was her cheating. She was an avid bike rider and would spend hours a day out riding her bike. We picked a day where her stepmom would be coming back from a business trip to have all the fun. We got there early, packed everything she owned into boxes, loaded them into a truck, and waited with her father for his wife to come home. The instant she saw an envelope in her husband's hands and a smile on her stepdaughter's face, she knew what was going on and started screaming like a banshee. "How could you do this to me, you little bee?" Yeah. Calmly, Max cut her off. Easily and happily. In the end, she gave up the house and full custody of the kids so she could go sleep around without worrying. None of her kids wanted anything to do with her, and my ex and her father now have a great relationship. I've seen tons of people stick it to a cheating spouse, but never one that felt as good as my ex getting her father back from the evil stepmother. Yep, she was riding that bike all day, all right. Story 2. An ex-girlfriend about 10 years ago emailed me to say it wasn't working out and she had met the unconditional love of her life, something she told me I was. So needless to say, I was a bit hurt, but there was not much I could do about it. I chewed on it for a while and I got really pissed off the more I thought about it. I eventually moved on with life and basically forgot about her entirely, pushed so far out of my mind and memories that I legit never thought about her at all. I ended up running into her several years later, working at a hotel reception desk, and straight away, I didn't even notice her. She was acting a little witchy and I didn't know why and chalked it up to her having a rough day or something. I got my key and settled in my room. The next morning, I was coming out to get ready to head to work and was in the lounge area where they have the waffles, and she tapped me on the shoulder. I assumed she worked all night and proceeded to challenge me. And I'm like, Whoa. If I did something to offend you, I'm so sorry, but who are you? Or something to this effect. And then she said, "I'm so glad I married blank and not you. You're crap." And then I was like, Oh. As the light finally came on. She looked like she was very miserable in life, and that made me very, very, very happy. She was a real tool. Looking back on it, I'm kind of proud of myself that I managed to completely move on with my life when I didn't even remember what she looked like. I am amazed that she expected me to dwell on her as if she were the greatest thing that ever happened to me and that I lost her. It seems she almost expected me to dwell on it for years and be depressed about it. As if that wasn't enough, I met a woman in Germany who's like the female version of me. It's pretty awesome. It's funny how life works out when you just go with the flow, eh? Story 3. Okay, so I'm a loud talker. I know I am, and I work on controlling the volume of my voice when I'm speaking to anyone, but it's difficult sometimes because I don't realize how loud my voice is. Anyway, before my divorce, my ex constantly pointed that out to me when we were together. She would say, "I'm right in front of you. Why are you yelling? What's wrong with you? You're just an idiot who talks too loud." Stuff like that. She would do it to me every time, no matter where we were or who we were with. I think she enjoyed embarrassing me. Anyway, fast forward 18 years. She cheated on me and we divorced. She denied it at first, but when she couldn't anymore, she finally admitted it. She listed all the things that she hated about me and made it a point to tell me what they were. Wouldn't you know that my loud voice was at the top of the list? She couldn't stand it anymore, and her exact words were, "The sound of your voice makes me sick to my stomach." Okay, fair enough. I told her that in order to not make her sick, I wouldn't speak to her ever again. I'm proud to say that those were the last words she ever heard from me. That was 13 years ago. Recently, one of my kids, they live with me now, by the way, told me he didn't like visiting his mother anymore. He asked him why, and he said she's always shouting. I asked her if she was mad at him or his brother. Maybe he said no. I asked, "Is she arguing with her husband?" Yes, she married the guy. He said no. "Why all the shouting?" I asked. He told me that the husband is going deaf and can't hear her, so she has to shout at him all the time so he can hear her. Now, if that ain't karma revenge, I don't know what is. Story 4. When I found my ex-wife out, I read some posts that she made with her account, which were detailed descriptions of what happened when she was having relations with her affair partner, AP. Oh, it hurt. That's for sure. My heart started beating so fast that I thought I was going to have a panic attack. First thing I did was announce it on Facebook for all of our friends and family to see. I shared her posts, then I emailed her family in Brazil and told them about it, saying it was nice knowing them. She owns a cleaning business, so after that I left reviews online for her business, sharing what she had done. After that, I called her and told her to leave and never come back. She was with AP when I called her. She came home only to get her laptop, the one that she left unlocked, so I could find her usernames. When she got home, she tried to explain, but I didn't let her get a single word in edgewise. I just kept screaming, "Get out of my life and don't come back!" The next part, I'm ashamed of. I went around the house, smashing all of her things. That I could have gone in trouble for, but I was filled with anguish and rage. I've never been a violent person, or have ever raised my voice to her until that day. Not in 14 years. Well, I turned the house upside down and found $3,000 in cash that she had been hiding. I kept that. When she came back with a friend to get her stuff was scattered everywhere. The only kind thing I did was only take half of our joint savings account money out before I called her. None of this made me feel good. The whole situation was absolutely terrible, and 9 months later, I'm still recovering. Story 5. I don't want to put too many details out there, but I put the AP on blast. I went up to her job and tell the manager I know everything. That was the day I found out. After that, I'm not going to detail it all here, but let's just say that I played the long con and have waged psychological warfare on her off and on. I'm bored with it at this point, but at the time, it felt so good. I was very careful not to do anything illegal and never messed with her on her property, but let's just say that anyone who happens to Google her name will get the full story. And even better is the fact that her picture shows up as well, so there will never be any doubt if it's about her. It should be fun for her future employers to find. I know this is immature, the best revenge is living well and so on, but the damage that she and my husband caused me was the most painful thing I've ever experienced in my life. I would honestly have rather gone physically hurt over the emotional pain that I felt. I was angry because I knew that he was paying for his mistakes on the daily, but she seemed to just move on with her life without a care in the world. So yes, it's immature, it's petty, but in the end, nothing I've done can compare to what was done to me, and I've healed and am no longer interested in her life. Story 6. Pretty sure I was cheated on once, when a girlfriend ghosted me 6 months into our relationship, starting when she didn't show up for a date on her birthday. I saw her internet activity, but she didn't respond to me at all. I assumed she cheated on me and was too ashamed to face me. I quickly stopped caring about her as I started dating the girl I would eventually marry about 4 months later. The revenge was about a year later, when I was walking through a transit station in my army uniform. I'd gone in much better shape and the uniform looked good on me. I saw her from across the station, standing near my exit. She actually tried to wave at me, but I didn't even turn to look. Amazingly enough, I saw her 2 more times after that over the years. Maybe 4 years later, I was biking home along a very nice beach and I saw someone wave at me. I didn't bother to stop, but I kept a camera on my bike and watched the footage when I got home. It was her again. I saw her again maybe 5 years after that. When I was leaving a store after exchanging a pair of pants for my wife, I was on the phone with her and she started walking towards me with a smile. I just sidestepped her and kept moving. Then my wife told me she wanted me to go back to the store and get a different size. I think the ex thought I didn't see her the first time, so she tried approaching me again. Sidestepped again. Then the third time, after getting the correct size of pants, I went back to the same spot and saw her sitting on the bench, looking sad. We locked eyes and I just laughed and walked away. Since you're already here and seem to be enjoying these revenge stories, give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this. Story 7. I moved very far away from my home and friends to a place where my wife could have horses. It was just not financially feasible where we were. I did manage to find a pretty good paying job after a year of being there. Downside, it was night shift. After a while, I noticed that she was becoming distant. She no longer wanted to have relations with me or spend off time together. I was disturbed, to say the least, but chalked it up to a rough patch that we needed to work through. Long story short, she was having an affair. I found out that when I left for work, her boyfriend came in for the night. Thanks, neighbors, you could have told me sooner. Anyway, we did get divorced. She insisted. I was still stupidly trying to make it work. I moved out, the boyfriend moved in and parked his Corvette in front of my house, but I have to say I had no part in the ultimate revenge. It was karma. They were traveling on the very narrow and winding road that led to our country house, and they collided at high speed with another vehicle. The boyfriend spun the car so the passenger side took the full force of the impact. Nice guy. He barely got a scratch. She was severely injured and was in the hospital for weeks. I never wished her any harm or even tried to get revenge of any kind, but she did this to herself. By the way, the boyfriend dumped her and moved to another state to avoid her lawsuit. Story 8. To be honest, the best response is to forget about them and move on. It sucks, I know. You find out that the person you love didn't feel the same way and has been going behind your back to hide that from you. They didn't trust you as an adult to speak freely about their feelings and felt that deceiving you was a better option. But being petty and getting with someone else, destroying shared property or taking any sort of measure as retaliation will make the situation worse and will make you look bad. Revenge is a dish best served cold, they say. Forget about them. They didn't give a damn about you. Why should you go to any extra lengths to prove that you still care about them? Accept that what you had is gone. It'll take time, it'll feel terrible, you'll grieve, you'll be depressed for a while, but you will come out on the other side a better person for it because you won't be dwelling on your feelings. Then you can start to date other people. Find someone who does care about you. Find someone worth spending your time on and bending over backward for. Find someone who is far better for you than your ex ever was and lead a happy life. If they ever look back and think about what could have been, they'll see you happy, living your best life, without them in it. When that happens, you'll have your revenge, and you'll never even know it. Story 9. Block, delete. Create a filter on Gmail to send their email address to trash. However, revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting a woman. He actually dumped me and I was like, nah, after everything I endured. I found his 38-year-old best friend for 10 years on Instagram somehow. I had hardly any info to find her. She's a trashy mom. He flirted with her daughter not long ago while dating and sleeping with me, and the mother was asleep. I was not present. He told me all about it because he was spiraling into a deep depression and needed my support. I told her all the disgusting stuff, he said. He said it was fine and the girl wanted it and it was legal. He was laughing about it and trying to make it okay even though he had betrayed his best friend. I actually thought she could forgive him. She responded, telling me what a horrible person he was and how he has a track record of being blackout intoxicated, forcing himself on women, and incapable of any relationship. She told me, if you're the woman he's been taking advantage of for the last 2 years, you should cut yourself free. Most of the time, the message was just her blasting what a piece of crap he was. I just screenshot it and sent it to him. I can't imagine his world didn't flip. Story 10. A man comes home one day to find that his wife has been cheating on him with another man. Due to the unfair laws against men in divorce settlements in this country, he loses the house to her. In a matter of weeks, the boyfriend moves in and they begin their happy new life in the house that his money bought and paid for. Furious and wanting some form of mild revenge, he makes one of his final visits to the home for the purpose of picking up his things while his ex is away at work. While eating lunch, he gets a devilish idea. He takes the shrimp shells from his plate and stuffs them into the empty spaces of the curtain rods in all the rooms. Within days, the ex calls him complaining of the smell, but he insists that he smells nothing on every visit to pick up his things. The smell gets worse. First, they tear the house apart, looking for the source, but can't find it. Then they get fed up and try to sell it, but nobody wants to buy it because no matter how long you leave the windows open and no matter how many vanilla candles you light, there's no getting rid of shrimp stink. The value of the house plummets, and it's about to go off the market when she begs her ex to buy it from her, which he does at a massive discounted price. The shrimp shells get removed, the curtain rods get replaced, and he reclaims his home. Story 11. I'll explain this real quick. She came on to me, she put me on the spot and asked if I wanted to be her boyfriend, and I decided to give her a chance and said yes. I should have known because she decided to do men's football, but this was right after I was rejected by my crush, so I was quite down. She was my first girlfriend. We were together for 2 weeks. 2 weeks, and she managed to cheat on me. Then again, I refused to do her, so it wasn't a real relationship. More like she was just going around. She made it seem real, though. Getting me presents, going to the pool together, stuff an actual couple would do. I even talked to her parents, and she talked to mine. She left me, and the day after, she uploaded pictures of her in some random dude's car. Funny enough, I've seen this guy around. I've also found out that she did almost the entire football team in the past, so no one liked her because of that already. Anyway, my crush apparently didn't reject me. She just didn't answer. So I got together with her, and that cheating witch never showed up to football again. As a matter of fact, I hear her cursing my name. She'd be crying, "I hate you," and I'd just ignore her. It was the best feeling ever. Anyway, I broke up with my crush after almost a year. It was literally impossible for us to work. Also, we had a mutual friend who was short and also in football. He really liked her and they even dated for a while. He tried to fight me and I completely embarrassed him by not fighting back at all and just weaving his subpar attacks. She now gets tormented by almost everyone, including her mutual friend. Story 12. I read a story on here a few years ago about a man who found out his wife of 20 years was having an affair after she became pregnant by her affair partner. She wanted to divorce as quickly as possible so that she could marry her AP. To move the process along, the wife agreed to let her husband have everything in the divorce. She had been a stay-at-home wife, but her AP was a doctor and made a great income. The AP was also married and also offered his wife just about everything for a quick divorce. The wife and her AP figured they could make it back quickly on his salary as a doctor. The week after the divorce was finalized, the ex-wife married her AP and left on her honeymoon. While still vacationing, the new husband died in a freak car accident. The ex-wife suddenly found herself 6 months pregnant with absolutely no marketable skills or job history and absolutely nothing in assets. The jilted husband said he felt badly for his ex-wife that things didn't work out as she planned, but felt no reason to renegotiate the divorce settlement with her. It wasn't intentional revenge, but it was the best story of affair karma. If you've gone this far and got intrigued by stories of cheating and honesty in relationships, then you'll enjoy the next video. What's a confession you told your partner that ended your relationship? It's sure to spark some reflection, especially story 1. See you there.